All right, everybody. So this is a grim topic we're going to be revisiting, but I did say that as we got more information about this story, I would, of course, be updating you guys and keeping up with it. And now that we have gotten some pretty substantial developments, I feel it is important that I keep up with that, and I issue not so much a correction, but a clarification/update on what has happened. So, about a month or two ago, I covered the death of a 16-year-old non-binary student in, I believe, was it Alabama or no, Oklahoma? I think it was. I think it was Oklahoma. In the same district that Libs of TikTok is the like on the school board council for. You see, Nex Benedict, this non-binary student, was thought to be by most people, including me, to have been killed after receiving a head injury in the bathroom after a fight that didn't really go well for Nex, and they proceeded to end up in the hospital, and they got questioned there. There was a video of it, and then they ended up going home, had a night's sleep, woke up, and from what we understood of the story at the time, woke up, went to brush their teeth, and like use the bathroom and stuff, and passed out and didn't wake up upon passing out. So I think most people would agree it seemed pretty likely that the attack had something to do with it. However, we have now gotten an update from the health examiner, or medical examiner, not health examiner, giving us a cause of death. And the title is, LGBTQ teen Nex Benedict died by suicide, medical examiner says. So it has been deemed a suicide and not a murder, or like no foul play involved, unrelated to the head injury. I imagine that many of you will instinctively kind of jump to saying, that's bullshit, but I would encourage you not to do that. That's kind of the same reaction conservatives have to finding out like the official story goes against their worldview or narrative. I think it's important to recognize that this is a tragedy and not ammo to be used against the right or like for a political cause. This is a tragedy that was possibly caused by transphobia, but based on the evidence that we have, it doesn't seem like a child killed another child here and deserves to go to prison, based on the evidence that has come out. What has seemed to have happened is an LGBT teen committed suicide. And that is itself the topic that the right has honed in on. On one hand, the right is celebrating this, as they did with the Pulse nightclub shooting, as they did with the shooting of that the Club Q shooting, celebrating it like they did the murder of Breonna J. Obviously, you've got the conservatives on Twitter, which are just en masse celebrating the death of trans kid. However, you also have the right-wingers who are saying, gotcha! Yeah, we gotcha! Oh, yeah, lefties, you're fucking wrong! Nex killed themselves! They don't say themselves, though. The same people who say that they're the ones who actually care about the well-being of these kids are the same ones making fun of and refusing to use the preferred name and pronouns of Nex. So it's kind of hard to take them seriously. But the right is definitely kind of taking a victory lap on this one in more ways than one. There's the usual, like, they love when a trans person dies, and it's, like, known. They see it as sort of like they've sent a message. And then, of course, there's the fact that, like, they see it as a big I told you so moment to say that Nex wasn't killed. Because if the left sort of unanimously argues that a hate crime has taken place and it's proven not to have happened, they're like, oh my god, we got a W on a silver platter here. Very much like the, like Tim Pool, for example. Tim Pool and Libs of TikTok, big time taking a victory lap on this one. Tim Pool referred to Nex as the trans Jussie Smollett, I believe was the exact quote from Tim Pool. So he's been taking a huge victory lap on Twitter about this, and yeah. The right is, of course, celebrating this for more reasons than one. It's a pretty grim story. There's not really a silver lining to it, but for those that want to be updated on what has happened, we're going to go ahead and check out the ABC News segment about this, talking about what the medical examiner found and I guess why they deemed it a suicide.
Students held a peaceful walkout at a Tulsa, Oklahoma high school, and this was in response to the death of LGBTQ plus student Nex Benedict, who died one day after a fight in a school bathroom.
This is all happening just one day after police released surveillance video of the altercation, which shows Nex walking into the girls' bathroom. A faculty member soon follows, and then the fight is broken up. It's unclear if the fight actually contributed to Nex's death, though. A cause of death.
Well, we can't really see anything that happens. It's just people going in and then out.
Has yet to be determined. Our Maria Villarreal
I was about to say, how would there be video of it? It happened in the bathroom.
joins us now. Maria, we see there the students organized the walkout, demanding action following Nex's death. What exactly are they calling for? And is there any timeline where we can find out how this death occurred? I mean, that's the biggest question right now.
You know, it's interesting, Kira and Terry.
Wait, I just realized the music is still playing. It's probably making it kind of hard to understand the video.
District Attorney's Office in this area just sent out a statement not too long ago talking about asking the public really to give them time to continue their investigation. At this point, they feel there's been a lot of passion on both sides of this case, a lot of frustration as well. We saw that obviously in the walkout video that you just saw happening there in that town. Obviously, this has happened earlier today, was a peaceful walkout. And really what students are calling for is a full investigation where there is accountability and transparency. Many of them spoke out saying that there were issues.
I think the, is there going to be a federal investigation into Nex's death? I could have sworn I saw some, I might have dreamed this up in like a haze. But did Biden not put out a statement saying that there was going to be a federal investigation? Can anyone confirm or deny that? Like, for sure? See a lot of shoulds and hopes. No, there's not. Did Biden put out a statement? Did I dream it up that Biden put out a statement saying something about investigation? There still should be, regardless of a suicide or murder. No word? Okay. Well, I guess I'm wrong. I guess I dreamed that up. Fuck. No, I think that there probably should... I mean, there does seem to have been an investigation, but as far as, like, a criminal investigation, it doesn't really seem like they have grounds to suspect a crime was committed, at least according to the police, the medical examiners, all that. And you can claim they're, like, in on it or something like that, but I think it's fairly realistic that a trans student committed suicide after being bullied. Like that kind of seems like the more likely situation. It happens. It is part of the tragedy that is the state of the treatment of trans people in this country, especially in these more conservative areas. It's a tragedy, but it's a different tragedy than what I think a lot of people almost wanted it to be. Like, it almost feels like some people are upset to hear this news and to not be able to say that a trans kid was murdered in order to, like, use it as a talking point. And the right is picking up on that, and they're going to point that out, that, like, some progressive posters on Twitter and stuff almost seem like they're upset it wasn't a murder. And that genuinely doesn't look good left or right, in my opinion. Okay, how do they determine it was a suicide? You're using the wrong pronouns. They had a head injury, and they actually self-harmed afterwards. It would still be attributable to their head injury. I think there's a certain limit to which you can associate those two things legally, considering the hospital checked Nex out, said you're good to go, and then it seems the medical examiner has reason to suspect it was a suicide, or to believe it was a suicide. We're going to find out more details, I guess, but that's what the people who know more than any of us can possibly know are saying. And I said I would I would update you guys on this story as it goes, and I'm not just going to, move on from it. And I feel like this is an important thing to talk about, because I was much more on the side of saying that I think this was a hate crime that took place, and I feel it's almost like I owe a bit of a retraction.
Issues at this school long before the death of this particular student. So they obviously...
I feel like we need to refocus this towards the fact that this is an instance in which a trans student who we've already had confirmed had problems with getting bullied for a long time committed suicide, something that is extremely common for LGBT youth, especially trans youth, and is like possibly the most forefront problem that LGBT and trans youth face in particular, is the suicidality and depression that comes with lack of support, lack of access to gender-affirming care, being bullied or mistreated by peers in spaces where you're not really able to like isolate from it, like school or work. These are problems that lead to tragedies like this, and I feel like that's what we should focus on. If there's no evidence that it was foul play, and it was suicide, then that suicide happened for a reason, and that reason is probably the same reason that all the data suggests for why the trans suicide rate is so high.
Obviously want accountability there. They want things to change in their school.
We just want the word out that this isn't okay. Our children are scared to death to go to school every day, and something has to stop. And hopefully the school board will take it seriously, because our children are dying.
Well, Chaya Raichik, aka Libs of TikTok, who is on that school board, is currently running a victory lap on Twitter about this as we speak, and playing victim and talking about how she's owed an apology.
They are dying.
So obviously there a call for accountability and transparency, but right now so far the school district has stayed pretty quiet about all of this.
Yeah, and Maria, it's so important, you know, to get the answers right in this case, because as you found out, talking to people, people are scared, people's emotions are running high. You know, what's next to determine the cause of death at this point?
You know, Terry, so we know that a preliminary autopsy was done, and then also the results of that was released, where we saw that they don't believe at this time that the trauma from the actual fight was a cause of death. However, that is not an absolute. And in a lot of these situations, we see, because the public is so adamant about wanting some sort of answers to be released, the police definitely give out what they can, or for that matter, the medical examiners give out what they can in the moment. But that is not an absolute. That is not them saying that they have an absolute cause of death. So as of right now, we also know that the Owasso School District, Owasso School District was actually served a search warrant. And that was performed by the local police department, where 137 photos were taken, 2 swabs inside the bathroom, all in conjunction with this investigation. So that clearly shows us that the police department in this case are far from being done in their investigation, which also means we don't have a cause of death. So I'd imagine we're going to see a little bit more investigation here. Timeline, you can...
So we have it having been ruled a suicide by medical examiners, but we don't have a cause of death. So they believe it's a suicide, but they don't have definitive answers yet. So take that as you will. We could get updates in this story, and as I've said, I will update if a update or addition or retraction is necessary. But yeah, I mean, it's just grim. It's just a grim story. And regardless of how it went, it's just sad that there is a dead kid, you know? Like somebody who had a very long and bright future ahead of them at the start of their life, really, like where their life really begins is... I think most people's lives, like, really begins at 16, just snuffed out, like, before it's really even started. It's very tragic regardless. I don't really see a point in fighting over which tragedy occurred at this point. I'm going to go with what the current official story is. If we get updates from medical examiners, the police, a federal investigation, then I will update you guys and I will make my position known. But, you know, I know that I'll no doubt get some level of shit for believing the official story, but, I mean, I'm not going to make a habit out of denying what the evidence is suggesting currently, because it's not convenient, I guess. I don't know. I've genuinely, I don't know how else to put it, but I've genuinely seen some lefty accounts on Twitter coming off as disappointed that they didn't get to use this as like ammo against the right. And you know, fuck the right and all, but also there's more to this issue than just, you know, dunking on the right and being correct about a problem, you know? Like, obviously, transphobia is a big problem. Libs of TikTok is a demon. Nobody disagrees with that in this conversation, but yeah. Fuck whoever hates you for being reasonable. That's literally all my haters. What are you talking? What haters do I have that don't hate me for being reasonable?
Never tell in these situations. They want to take their time, but they also know there is heavy pressure from the public here. So again, I think with all eyes on them, there will be full transparency, hopefully, in this case.
I'm interested to see how this develops. I am. I hope that we're able to find out what happened truly, and that like Nex's friends and family are able to have that closure. Even if we don't find out, as long as the friends and family of Nex get to find out, if they want to, I assume, and get to have the closure that I have no doubt they are kind of seeking, then yeah. So Joe Biden put out a statement. It turns out I wasn't wrong about that. Tweeted, "In memory of Nex, we must all recommit our work to end discrimination and address the suicide crisis impacting too many non-binary and transgender children." Putting out a statement saying, "Jill and I are heartbroken by the recent loss of Nex Benedict. Every young person deserves to have the fundamental right and freedom to be who they are and feel safe and supported at school and in their communities. Nex Benedict, a kid who just wanted to be accepted, should still be here with us today. Non-binary and transgender people are some of the bravest Americans I know, but nobody should have to be brave just to be themselves. In memory of Nex, we must all recommit to our work to end discrimination and address the suicide crisis impacting too many non-binary and transgender children. Bullying is hurtful and cruel, and no one should face the bullying that Nex did. Parents and schools must take reports of bullying seriously. My prayers are with Nex's family, friends, and all who love them. And to all LGBTQIA+ Americans for whom this tragedy feels so personal. Know this, I will always have your back. To LGBTQIA+ young people across the country, you are loved exactly as you are. If you're feeling overwhelmed or alone, you can call or text 988, the National Crisis Hotline, and dial the number 3 to talk to a counselor who has been specifically trained to support LGBTQIA+ youth." That is a powerful statement to come from the president. Like, not just like a sign of support, but then also a like advice to get help for like trans youth. Now, all of the top replies are from conservative accounts shitting on Biden. First, we have Marjorie Taylor Greene replying to a post giving support, raising awareness about the suicide of a child. Marjorie Taylor Greene replies, "Why haven't you said anything about Laken Riley? Do you support illegal immigrants coming over and killing Americans?" Now, the reason why this comment is really funny is that Biden's State of the Union address was like a week ago, and during that State of the Union address, Marjorie Taylor Greene was in the crowd screaming about how Biden hadn't talked about Laken Riley, and then he did at the State of the Union in front of her and made her look dumb. And now she's commenting once again, "Why haven't you said anything about Laken Riley?" In case you guys haven't picked up on it, Biden has talked about that situation multiple times, and then every time Biden does, she responds, "Why haven't you said anything about Laken Riley?" And then you've got the next comment is from Gunther Eagleman. Gunther Eagleman saying, "You are an evil man, FJB." Then the next comment is, "The more you watch Joe Biden, the more proof you see of just how fucking stupid anyone who voted for him is." The next one is, "A full statement for everybody but those murdered by illegal immigrants. Where is your statement on Laken Riley?" Once again, he talked about that literally during the State of the Union address a week ago. "Nex Benedict started the fight and died of drug overdose, not trauma. Dementia Joe Biden is a pathological liar. You said that an 8-year-old should be able to declare themselves transgender. You are an evil man who will say and do anything to stay in power. Your own children have experienced it." This is a heartless statement by Joe Biden. He's standing on the grave of Nex Benedict to promote his gender ideology. Nex overdosed on drugs. Biden lets in untold amounts of immigrants to murder children. Nex died of a drug overdose. Misgender. They were never bullied for who they were. They were responsible for starting the fight. Stop lying and spreading misinformation and rumors. Now, say her name properly. Laken Riley. Once again, just kind of pretending he didn't say, he literally, called all this out at the State of the Union address. We covered it. So the response to a child having committed suicide because of bullying, who is LGBT, their response is to say, oh yeah, that kid, drug addict, bully, deserved to die. They're not outright saying it, but they're heavily implying that Nex deserved to die. There's no other interpretation you can get from those comments but that. And obviously indicating their seething hatred that Biden would put out a statement to honor a young trans person who died. They really are, they really are just monstrous, aren't they? But yeah, this is them taking their big victory lap, I suppose.